What compels a seemingly ordinary man to commit acts of unimaginable horror? Jason Dalton's story remains one of the most chilling and perplexing tragedies in modern history. A trusted family man, an insurance adjuster, and a part-time Uber driver, Jason appeared to live a typical life. Yet, on a cold February day in 2016, his actions plunged the quiet community of Kalamazoo, Michigan, into chaos and fear. Jason was born in Greenfield, Indiana, and raised in what seemed to be a stable and loving household. His parents were described as kind and supportive, encouraging Jason to work hard for everything he achieved. After moving to Michigan during his teenage years, Jason attended Comstock High School. He was active in sports, excelling in football, wrestling, and track. Though not particularly outgoing, he was known to be friendly and polite, making him a respected peer among his classmates. After graduating in 1989, Jason pursued a degree in law enforcement, aspiring to become a police officer. However, his ambitions never materialized. Despite his qualifications, Jason struggled to secure a position in Michigan or nearby states, and his reluctance to relocate limited his options. Faced with rejection, he pivoted his career to automotive work and later found success as an insurance adjuster. By the mid-1990s, Jason seemed to have settled into a stable life. He married Carol in 1995, and they built a family, welcoming 2 children in 2001 and 2006. Yet beneath the surface, there were signs of discontent. By 2015, Jason's temper began to fray. Colleagues recalled incidents where he lashed out at customers over minor disputes, shouting and pacing angrily around his desk. While these outbursts never turned physical, they painted a troubling picture of a man struggling to control his emotions. Seeking additional income, Jason joined Uber in February 2016. The idea seemed practical. He already spent long hours driving for his job as an insurance adjuster. However, Jason's approach to the role was anything but conventional. Instead of logging off the app after completing rides, he kept it running at all hours, even at night. This constant connectivity began to erode his mental state, leaving him sleep-deprived and increasingly paranoid. Friends and family noticed the change. Jason, once calm and reserved, became irritable and distant. He frequently checked his firearms and exhibited uncharacteristic paranoia. Despite these warning signs, no one could have predicted the horrific events about to unfold. February 20th, 2016, began like any other day. Jason stopped by a local gun store where he purchased a tactical jacket. He often visited the shop to chat with the owners, but this time he was in and out within minutes, acting unusually focused. By afternoon, Jason claimed he began experiencing delusions. According to him, the Uber app on his phone displayed strange symbols and a demonic image. He believed these were signs of a sinister force controlling his actions, a bizarre claim that would later baffle investigators and psychologists alike. At 4:30 p.m., Jason picked up his first passenger, Matt Mellon. The ride began uneventfully, but soon Jason's demeanor changed dramatically. He began speeding recklessly, running red lights and shouting nonsensical phrases like a man possessed. Terrified, Matt jumped out of the moving car at the first opportunity and immediately reported the incident to the police. Unfortunately, despite Matt providing detailed information, including the car's description and license plate, the authorities failed to act swiftly, allowing Jason to continue his spree uninterrupted. By early evening, Jason's behavior turned deadly. At an apartment complex, he encountered Tiana Carruthers, who was outside with a group of children. Mistaking her for another passenger, Jason fired multiple shots without hesitation, severely injuring Tiana. Despite her injuries, Tiana's quick thinking and bravery saved the children, who scattered and escaped unharmed. A few hours later, Jason arrived at a car dealership, where father and son Richard and Tyler Smith were inspecting vehicles. Without warning, Jason opened fire, killing both men on the spot. Tyler's girlfriend, hiding in the back seat of their car, held her breath as Jason walked away, narrowly avoiding becoming his next victim. The randomness and brutality of the attack sent shockwaves through the community, leaving residents in a state of fear and disbelief. By 10 p.m., Jason's rampage escalated further. At a Cracker Barrel restaurant, he approached a group of women who were enjoying a quiet evening out. Without provocation, he opened fire, killing 4 women and critically injuring a 14-year-old girl. These were everyday people, mothers, grandmothers, and friends, whose lives were cut short in an instant. Despite the carnage, Jason continued to accept Uber fares throughout the night. Passengers later described him as calm and composed, showing no signs of the chaos he had unleashed just hours before. It was as if he were living 2 lives, one as a cold-blooded killer, the other as an unassuming rideshare driver. His ability to switch between these personas baffled both investigators and the public. The police eventually pieced together Jason's identity, thanks to surveillance footage and witness reports. Shortly after midnight, they apprehended him without resistance. Inside his vehicle, officers discovered a loaded handgun and a bulletproof vest, confirming that Jason had prepared for an extended spree. His reign of terror had finally ended, but the questions surrounding his motives were just beginning. What drove Jason Dalton to commit such heinous acts? Was it a descent into madness, or was he simply a man who snapped under pressure? His claims of being controlled by the Uber app, while bizarre and almost surreal, offered a glimpse into his deteriorating mental state. Yet, they also raised troubling questions about the influence of technology on human behavior and the potential dangers of constant connectivity. As the dust settled, the community of Kalamazoo was left to mourn. Candlelight vigils were held across the city, and families of the victims struggled to come to terms with their loss. Meanwhile, Jason's story captured national attention, sparking heated debates about mental health, gun control, and the responsibilities of rideshare companies in ensuring passenger and driver safety. With Jason Dalton in custody, investigators tried to piece together the reasoning behind his senseless rampage. His confession would only deepen the mystery, leaving both law enforcement and the public with more questions than answers. During his interrogation, Jason claimed that the Uber app was the catalyst for his actions. He described strange symbols, an image of a horned devil, and a sense of possession that overcame him each time he used the app. He insisted that when the app's screen turned black, it controlled his actions, compelling him to commit unspeakable acts. These bizarre statements suggested a man either suffering from profound delusions or crafting an elaborate excuse for his crimes. Despite his claims, Jason exhibited moments of unsettling composure throughout the night of his spree. He calmly completed Uber rides, interacted with passengers, and even laughed at jokes. This duality, a killer driven by supposed supernatural forces yet entirely capable of masking his actions, made his case even more perplexing. In the days following his arrest, Jason underwent a psychiatric evaluation to determine his fitness to stand trial. The results were clear. He was deemed competent. Although his defense team later attempted to pursue an insanity plea, the court ruled that Jason understood the nature of his actions and could face trial. The juxtaposition of his bizarre delusions with his calm, calculated behavior throughout the spree left a haunting impression. It underscored the complexity of his case and raised deeper questions about the human psyche and its vulnerabilities. As the legal process unfolded, the community of Kalamazoo grappled with the aftermath of the tragedy. Memorials were held for the 6 victims whose lives Jason had taken. Richard Smith, a dedicated father who shared a passion for cars with his son. Tyler Smith, a 17-year-old high school senior, full of promise, whose life ended far too soon. Mary Lou Nye, a 62-year-old former daycare worker and military veteran who had dedicated her life to helping others. Mary Jo Nye, a beloved teacher and mentor who spent her final moments enjoying a night out with friends. Dorothy Brown, a retired caseworker and devoted mother of 2. Barbara Hawthorne, a retired professional who was spending time with her 14-year-old granddaughter when she was shot. These were ordinary people, caught in the crossfire of an incomprehensible act of violence. Their families were left to pick up the pieces, navigating the complex emotions of grief, anger, and confusion. For survivors like Tiana Carruthers and Abigail Kopf, The road to recovery was long and arduous. Tiana, hailed as a hero for protecting the children in her care, endured multiple surgeries and months of physical therapy. Despite her injuries, she emerged as a symbol of resilience, turning her experience into a platform for motivational speaking. Abigail, who was just 14 years old when she was shot in the head, faced even greater challenges. Her survival was nothing short of miraculous. After enduring several surgeries and a prolonged recovery, she returned to school determined to rebuild her life. Her strength inspired not only her family but the entire community. The investigation into Jason Dalton's life revealed troubling details about his growing instability in the months leading up to the shooting. His escalating paranoia, erratic behavior, and fascination with firearms painted the picture of a man on the brink. However, no clear motive could be found. Jason's victims were strangers, random targets chosen without any apparent logic or connection. In court, Jason's erratic behavior continued. During a preliminary hearing, he interrupted proceedings with nonsensical outbursts, further unsettling the victims' families and survivors present. These disruptions raised questions about his mental state, but they did little to sway the court's opinion on his culpability. On the day his trial was set to begin, Jason shocked everyone by pleading guilty to all charges. This decision spared the victims' families from the ordeal of a lengthy trial, but left many questions unanswered. Why did he do it? Was it a calculated act of evil, a psychotic break, or something else entirely? Jason Dalton was sentenced to life in prison without the possibility of parole. He now resides at the Oaks Correctional Facility, where he spends his days behind bars. His case remains a chilling reminder of how quickly ordinary lives can be shattered by extraordinary violence. For the residents of Kalamazoo, the scars of that day run deep. The community has come together to honor the victims, support the survivors, and ensure that their stories are not forgotten. Vigils, fundraisers, and public forums have fostered a sense of unity in the face of tragedy. Jason's actions also sparked a broader conversation about the role of technology in our lives. Uber, as a company, faced scrutiny for its background checks and response to the incident. While Jason had no prior criminal record, the tragedy highlighted the need for improved safety measures in the gig economy. The psychological impact of the case extends beyond Kalamazoo. It raises unsettling questions about human behavior, the thin veneer of normalcy, and the unpredictable nature of violence. Could a man like Jason Dalton exist in any community? And if so, how can such acts be prevented? As the years pass, the memory of that tragic day lingers, a stark reminder of the fragility of life. The victims' families continue to advocate for change, channeling their grief into efforts to create a safer world. Their resilience stands as a testament to the strength of the human spirit, even in the face of unimaginable loss. The story of Jason Dalton is not just one of tragedy. It is a call to action. It reminds us of the importance of vigilance, compassion, and community. By learning from the past, we can strive to build a future where such horrors are less likely to occur. As we close this chapter, let us remember the lives lost, honor the survivors, and reflect on the lessons this story has to offer. Tragedy may test our humanity, but it is our response that defines us. Before we end, take a moment to subscribe to this channel for more thought-provoking stories like this one. Your support helps us continue sharing these narratives, keeping the memories of those affected alive, and shining a light on the darker corners of our world. Together, we can seek understanding, foster empathy, and work toward a safer tomorrow. Thank you for watching, and until next time, stay safe, stay informed, and take care of one another.